Where's your tie? The voice cut through the executive conference room like a knife, stopping every conversation dead. I looked up from my chair, laptop bag over my shoulder, final investment agreement on a USB drive in my pocket, 22 months of work, $280 million on the line. Signing scheduled in 30 minutes. And apparently, according to the CEO's daughter standing across from me with her arms folded. None of that mattered as much as the piece of fabric missing from my neck. I'm Howard Pierce, 53 years old, and until that morning, I was Senior Vice President of Operations at Apex Manufacturing Solutions. I'd spent 24 years building that company from a regional defense contractor with 80 employees into a mid-size aerospace manufacturer worth a solid 9-figure valuation. This was supposed to be my victory lap. Instead, it became the day everything changed. Patricia Davis, 29 years old, fresh Harvard MBA, designer suit. Zero understanding of what she was about to destroy. "Good morning, Patricia," I said evenly. "Everything's ready for the ceremony. Legal has confirmed all documents, and Lance's team is already in the building." She crossed the room in 3 strides, grabbed my collar with one hand, and yanked. The tie I'd left loose around my neck, planning to tighten it before the ceremony, bit into my throat as she jerked it tight. "Are you out of your mind?" I choked, grabbing her wrist. "This is the most important day in my father's career." She hissed loud enough for the nearest executives to hear. "And you show up looking like casual Friday. We have Summit Capital executives walking in here in 20 minutes. I've been in prep calls since 5 a.m., I said, fighting to keep my voice level. Lance Bennett and his team care about the deal structure and our growth projections. Not my... She ripped the tie off my neck. The fabric tore across my skin. A button popped and pinged off the glass wall behind me. Gasps rippled around the table where 15 other executives sat frozen. She held the tie up like evidence in a courtroom. "This," she announced to the room, "is why companies fail. People who think the rules don't apply to them." Someone near the middle tried to speak. "Patricia, maybe we should." "Security," she cut them off. 2 guards appeared instantly. I recognized Cameron Rodriguez, one of the guys I'd chatted with about his kids' soccer games for 3 years. "Escort Mr. Pierce out of the building," Patricia said, breathing hard, effective immediately. "He's no longer with Apex Manufacturing." I looked down the table. 24 years. Faces I'd worked alongside, built deals with, saved from disasters more times than I could count. Not one spoke, not even the CEO. Not even Patricia's father. Russell, sitting at the head of the table, eyes glued to his tablet like he was reading the most important email of his life. "Patricia," I said slowly, making sure everyone in that room heard. "If you do this, there won't be a deal to sign." She stepped closer, and I could see the sweat beading on her forehead despite the air conditioning. "I've reviewed the contracts. You're not the only person who can talk to an investor. You're just the only one who insults my father's legacy by showing up half-dressed to the biggest moment in our company's history." She nodded to security. "Take his badge, his laptop, everything. Box up his personal items." Cameron looked at me with genuine regret. I put a hand on his arm. "It's okay, Cameron. You do what you have to do." Patricia pressed my tie flat on the conference table like a prosecutor marking evidence. "You're done. Go home." I straightened my torn collar, picked up my personal notebook, the only thing I wasn't surrendering, and walked toward the door. As I reached the threshold, I turned back. For the record, I've closed $2.4 billion in defense contracts for this company over 24 years. This $280 million investment was structured specifically around our long-term relationship with Summit, but you're the boss now. The elevator ride down felt like it lasted an hour. My phone vibrated before I reached the lobby. Lance Bennett, Summit Capital, the man whose firm was about to wire $280 million into Apex's accounts in exactly 18 minutes. I answered. "Howard, where are you?" "We're in the lobby with the full team, ready to make history." I looked at the cardboard box in my hands that HR had hastily packed with my desk contents. My coffee mug with "World's Okay, Dad" that my daughter gave me 12 years ago, a picture of my ex-wife and kids from before the divorce. The calculator I'd used to run numbers on deals since 2001. "There's been a change of plans, Lance. I'm no longer with the company." Nobody said anything for a while. I thought the call had dropped. "What are you talking about? This isn't funny, Howard. We're signing in 17 minutes. I've got 4 attorneys, 2 partners, and a communications team ready to announce this deal to the market. I've been terminated, effective immediately. Terminated on signing day." That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Nobody fires their lead negotiator on the biggest deal in company history. The elevator chimed as we passed each floor. No games, Lance, just reality. I suggest you speak with Apex's representatives about how they wish to proceed without me. Stay exactly where you are, he said, and I could hear the steel in his voice that had made him one of the most respected private equity leaders in the Southwest. I'm coming to find you. The doors opened to the marble lobby. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see Lance and his team from Summit Capital. 3 men in navy suits, 2 women in business dress, all carrying leather portfolios thick with legal documents. Behind them stood a younger guy with a camera, probably their communications director, with embargoed press releases ready to hit the wire at noon. Behind them, descending the executive staircase with one hand on the polished rail, came Patricia. Smug smile plastered across her face, convinced she'd just handled a problem with the decisiveness of a true leader. She had no idea what she'd actually done. But I need to back up here. Let me tell you how we got to this point. The first time I met Patricia was 3 years earlier at a quarterly board meeting. She walked in 20 minutes late, sunglasses still on, sat next to her mother, Linda, and spent most of the meeting scrolling through her phone. When she did speak, it was to ask why we weren't moving faster into AI and blockchain like every other company. After the meeting, her father, Russell, pulled me aside in the hallway. What do you think of her? I had to think about how to put this. Russell had built this company from nothing, and I respected him. But his daughter, that was complicated. She's smart, I said. But she hasn't been punched in the face by reality yet. Russell laughed, the first genuine laugh I'd heard from him in months. She will be. That's exactly why I want her around people like you. Learn how business actually works. For a while, it seemed to work. Patricia shadowed my meetings, asked decent questions about deal structures, even showed up on time most days. But she never grasped the most important thing, relationships. She thought money and titles spoke loud enough. She didn't understand that trust whispers quieter, but it carries a lot farther. When Russell's health started declining 18 months before our signing day, everything shifted. The board meetings where Patricia used to sit quietly in the back, now she had opinions, strong ones, and Russell, whether from fatigue or guilt about not including his daughter earlier, stopped correcting her when she overstepped. Patricia got a new title, Vice President of Strategic Development. And suddenly, people who'd been at the company for 10, 15, 20 years were taking orders from someone who still needed GPS to find our manufacturing facility. I kept my head down and focused on what mattered, the Summit deal. Lance Bennett and I had spent 22 months building that relationship. Not just phone calls and PowerPoint presentations, but real work. I'd flown to Dallas 8 times. He'd come to our facilities twice, walked the factory floor with safety glasses and steel-toed boots, watched our systems actually function. We'd argued about valuation models at 2 a.m. We'd shared beers after 12-hour negotiation sessions that went nowhere. By month 18, we understood each other. We didn't always agree, but we respected the process. That's worth more than most people realize. 3 months before signing day, Summit's lawyer sent back what we hoped was the final draft. Lance called me about one specific clause, Section 14.2, the key person provision. You sure you want your name in here, Howard? I was in my office looking out at the parking lot where I'd parked in the same spot for 8 years. What's the concern? The clause is pretty explicit. If Howard Pierce ceases employment at Apex Manufacturing for any reason other than documented illness or death prior to closing, Summit retains the right to terminate this agreement without penalty. I leaned back in my chair. That's exactly what I want. You're betting the entire deal on your continued employment. That's a big risk. Lance, if I'm gone before we close, something's gone very wrong. You should have the right to walk away. He was quiet for a moment. You're that confident? I've been here 24 years. I built half the relationships that make this company valuable. If they're stupid enough to fire me before the biggest deal in company history, you shouldn't be doing business with them anyway. He paused again. Fair enough. We'll keep it. I didn't know it then, but I'd just loaded the bullet that would save my career and destroy Patricia's. Back to that morning when the elevator opened and I walked into the lobby with my cardboard box, Lance saw me before I saw him. His face went through 3 distinct phases: confusion, recognition, and something that looked like controlled rage. He ended his phone call mid-sentence and walked toward me. Howard, he said, extending his hand for what became a brief, awkward hug while I balanced the box. What the hell is happening here? Plans changed, I said. His eyes dropped to my shirt, the torn collar where Patricia had grabbed me, the missing button, the faint red line around my neck where the tie had been yanked. "Who did that to you?" I didn't get a chance to answer because at that exact moment, the executive staircase door opened and Patricia walked into the lobby. She still had that energy, like someone who just solved a major problem with decisive leadership. She spotted Lance standing with me, and her expression shifted. First confusion, then calculation, then what she probably thought was a winning smile. "Lance," she called out, raising her hand like she was hailing a cab. "Sorry for the slight delay. We had some internal housekeeping to handle, but everything's ready upstairs. The conference room is set, documents are prepared, and the champagne is chilled." She walked over with her hand extended. Lance looked at it but didn't take it. Instead, he looked from Patricia to me very slowly, like he was solving a math problem in his head. "What kind of housekeeping?" Lance asked. "Nothing that concerns you," Patricia said, with that dismissive chuckle that entitled people use when they want to sound confident. "We simply removed someone who wasn't aligned with our culture. We're tightening our standards as we prepare for this partnership." Lance's eyes flicked back to my collar. "Did those standards do that to his shirt?" This was the moment. I could have stayed quiet. Let them figure it out themselves. But 22 months of work, 24 years of career, and the principle of the thing made my decision easy. "Your future business partner fired me because I walked into the conference room without my tie properly knotted," I said. "That's not what happened." Patricia snapped, and for the first time I heard her voice crack slightly. "I enforced basic professionalism standards. This is a $280 million transaction. If senior executives can't even dress appropriately, you fired him?" Lance cut in, his voice dropping to a tone I'd only heard him use with lawyers who'd tried to slip bad terms past him. "On signing day, in front of my leadership team," Patricia corrected. Like that made it better. "Effective immediately." Security escorted him out. "Look, I understand you two have worked together, but we can handle the closing. The documents are complete. The wire instructions are confirmed, and we can replace." "How long have you known Howard?" Lance interrupted. Patricia blinked. "A few years, since he started working under my father's direction. I've known him for 22 months on this deal alone," Lance said quietly. "I've seen him on video calls at 3 a.m. when we had crises to solve. I've watched him walk me through factory operations while your executive team was in catered meetings. I've had him deliver bad news about your financials that nobody else in your company had the spine to tell me." He paused, and I could see Patricia's Adam's apple bob as she swallowed. "I learned your name 6 months ago." Patricia's face was starting to flush red. "With all due respect, Mr. Bennett, this isn't your company to run." "You're absolutely right," Lance said, and his voice stayed perfectly calm. "It's not my company, but it is my capital." He turned to me. "Howard, what exactly happened up there?" I told him. No drama, no embellishment, just the sequence of events. By the time I finished, Patricia's face had gone from flushed to pale. You could almost see her running calculations in her head, trying to figure out how to spin this. "You're leaving out context," Patricia said, but her voice had lost that confident edge. There was insubordination involved, a pattern of disrespect for company standards. Lance held up one hand and Patricia stopped talking immediately. "Funny how $280 million gets people's attention." "Hang on," Lance said, pulling out his phone. He scrolled for a few seconds, then turned the screen toward Patricia. "Before I walked in here this morning, I reviewed our agreement one more time. Specifically, Section 14.2. Do you know what that is?" Patricia squinted at the phone. "I don't handle every piece of legal paperwork. That's what we pay attorneys for." Lance nodded slowly, like Patricia had just confirmed something he suspected. "Of course you don't." He looked back at me. "You drafted this clause, didn't you?" I insisted on it. I said, to protect both sides. Lance slipped the phone back into his jacket pocket. Then he spoke the sentence that I knew would change everything. "Pack your things." For a split second, I thought he meant me. Then he turned to Patricia. "Not you, Howard, her." The entire lobby went dead quiet. I could hear the elevator humming, the click of heels on marble from someone walking across the far side of the space, even the buzz of the fluorescent lights. "You're making a mistake," Patricia said, and now her voice was definitely cracking. "You don't have the authority to—" "You're absolutely right," Lance interrupted. "I don't work for your company. I have no authority over your personnel decisions whatsoever." He glanced up toward the mezzanine level, where I could see several board members had gathered to watch the signing ceremony. "But I do have the authority to pull $280 million out of this building before it gets here. And I can tell your board, your lenders, your customers, and every business reporter in the Southwest exactly why. He leaned in closer to Patricia. You just destroyed your own inheritance. That's when it hit Patricia. Not the firing, not the confrontation, but the numbers. You could see it in her eyes the moment she realized what Section 14.2 actually meant. The key person clause, she whispered. Howard Pierce ceases employment for any reason other than documented illness or death. Summit retains the right to terminate without penalty. Did you read the contract before you fired him? Lance asked. Patricia opened her mouth, then closed it. Here's what you need to understand, Lance continued, his voice still perfectly calm. This wasn't about a tie. This was about judgment. If you handle your most important business partner this way on your most important day, what does that tell us about how you'll operate as our partners? He turned to his team, who had been standing there watching this unfold like it was a car accident. We're done here. Pack it up. Papers rustled. Briefcases snapped shut. The communications director was already on his phone, probably killing the press release that was supposed to announce our partnership to the world. Lance extended his hand to me. Howard, when you figure out what comes next, give me a call. Summit works with people who understand what business relationships actually mean. I shook his hand, nodded to the board members still watching from upstairs, and followed the Summit team through the revolving doors. Outside, the air felt different. I had no job, no immediate plan, and I'd just watched 22 months of work evaporate. But underneath the shock, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Freedom. Lance stopped on the sidewalk. You okay? Yeah, I said, and I meant it. Question is, what happens to them? That's not your problem anymore. He looked back at the building, but if I had to guess, stock's going to take a beating. Lenders are going to ask questions, and that kid just learned a very expensive lesson about consequences. The first news alert hit my phone 6 hours later. Apex manufacturing investment deal collapses hours before signing. By market close, the stock had dropped 31%. By the next morning, it was down another 14%. Industry blogs picked up the story. Leadership crisis at Apex Manufacturing. Family business dysfunction costs $280 million deal. When nepotism meets Wall Street, they didn't have all the details, but they had enough. Anonymous sources, board members who talked to reporters off the record. Someone leaked that the deal fell apart due to internal personnel issues on signing day. I felt bad for the people who'd get hurt. Janet in legal, who'd worked 80-hour weeks on the contract. Preston in product design, whose team would probably face layoffs. Cameron and the other security guards who were just doing their jobs. But I didn't feel bad for the company, and I definitely didn't feel bad for Patricia. For a week, I did absolutely nothing. Slept until 8 a.m., made breakfast instead of grabbing coffee on the way to work, called my brother Gerald in Phoenix, who I hadn't talked to in 3 months. You sound different, he said during our second conversation. Different how? Relaxed? Like someone who just realized he was holding his breath for 24 years. Day 10, the calls started. First from colleagues asking if I was okay, then from headhunters saying they had opportunities that might interest me, then from competitors wondering if I'd consider joining their teams. I didn't return any of them until I saw Linda Davis's number on my caller ID. Howard, she said when I picked up, we need to talk. Do we? I could hear voices in the background, papers shuffling, the sound of a meeting being interrupted. It's worse than we thought. The stock hit $19 yesterday. Lenders are asking for additional collateral. 3 major customers put their contracts under review. I waited. We need your help. Help with what? Bringing Summit back, stabilizing the company. Making sure we don't, she trailed off. Making sure you don't go under. Yes. I looked out my kitchen window at my backyard. Sunshine, birds, quiet for the first time in 24 years. I had leverage. What are you offering? A meeting with the full board today, if possible. You can name your terms. I smiled, though she couldn't see it. I'll think about it, I said and hung up. That night I made my decision. But it wasn't the one they expected. At 6:45 the next morning I called Linda back. I'll meet with your board, but not today. This afternoon. That's very short notice. 2 p.m. And I'm coming with conditions. What kind of conditions? The kind that make sure this never happens to anyone else the way it happened to me. She was quiet for a moment. I'll see you at 2. At 2:55 p.m., I walked back into Apex Manufacturing, wearing the same outfit I'd been fired in, same torn collar, same missing button, no tie. The board rose when I entered the conference room. "Howard," said Gerald Thompson, the independent board chair. "Thank you for coming back." "Let's skip the pleasantries," I said. Taking a seat at the far end of the table, "In 2 weeks, your stock dropped 45%. 3 major customers have put their contracts under review. Every industry publication is using phrases like leadership crisis and family business dysfunction." Uncomfortable shifting around the table. "You chose ego over competence," I continued. "You chose silence over leadership." I slid a folder across the table to Gerald. "These are my conditions. Non-negotiable." He opened it, eyebrows raising as he read. He passed it to Linda, whose face went pale. The pages made their way around the table like a slow-motion explosion. When they finished reading, the room was dead silent. "This is extensive," Linda said carefully. "Yes. Full reinstatement as Chief Operating Officer reporting directly to this board. Salary increase of 90%, permanent board seat with voting rights, and substantial equity grant vesting immediately." And then the part that really made them sweat. Section 7. Gerald read aloud. "Any new business ventures conceived by Howard Pierce shall operate as joint ventures with 75% ownership to Pierce, 25% to Apex, with all resource usage documented and compensated." He looked up at me. 75%? You expect majority ownership of companies you build while we're paying you? I expect protection. You've proven that family politics can override sound business judgment. This ensures I'm never again at the mercy of someone's daughter having a bad day. "How does this benefit Apex?" Linda asked. "You've discovered your core business isn't as stable as you thought. You need new revenue streams, and you need them fast. You also need someone who can create them without worrying about whether a 29-year-old with an MBA is going to torpedo the whole thing because she doesn't like my appearance." A few people flinched. Nobody denied it. "And the public statement?" Linda asked. "Press release acknowledging that my termination was an error in judgment that's been corrected, and that you're implementing governance changes so no family member can unilaterally override operational decisions." Gerald looked around the table. You could see the mental calculations happening: stock price, customer confidence, employee morale, media perception. Finally, he picked up his pen. "We followed the wrong person's judgment and nearly destroyed this company. I'm not inclined to repeat that mistake." He signed. One by one, the others followed suit. When the folder reached Linda, her hand was shaking as she signed the last page. "When can you start?" Gerald asked. "I already have." That evening, I called Lance Bennett. The conversation lasted 2 hours. "Howard, your company humiliated you in front of my entire team. Why would Summit want to get back into bed with that? Because you wouldn't be getting into bed with them. You'd be working with me, and I now have the authority to make commitments that stick. What if they change their minds again? They can't, not without destroying what's left of their credibility, and not without going through this board, which now includes me." A week later, Lance flew back to Dallas for a smaller deal. Not $280 million. That ship had sailed, but a $160 million with stricter terms and more oversight. Apex would get the capital they desperately needed, but Summit would have much more control over how it got used. While we rebuilt the Summit relationship, I started working on something else, something that had been gnawing at me since that morning in the conference room. I called Preston from our design team. "I need a small group, off the books, nights and weekends." "For what?" "Executive transition consulting services for professionals 45 to 65 who are navigating career changes, family business conflicts, succession planning issues." He raised an eyebrow. "We make aerospace components, not consulting services. We understand systems and processes. Right now, there's a massive gap in the market for people who know how to handle leadership transitions without destroying companies in the process." Within 2 weeks, I had 4 people, 2 analysts who were tired of running the same reports, a former strategy consultant whose dad had run a family business into the ground, an organizational psychologist who specialized in workplace conflict. We met after hours, Saturdays in empty conference rooms, Sundays at coffee shops across town. 6 months later, Pierce Advisory Group was real. Our first clients were companies facing exactly the kind of crisis we'd just navigated. Family businesses where competence and bloodlines were getting confused. Executives being sidelined by politics instead of performance. Boards that needed independent guidance on leadership conflicts. Our specialty, helping organizations separate merit from relationships. 1 year after Pierce Advisory launched, we hit $1.4 million in revenue. My 75% ownership meant I was finally building something that couldn't be taken away by someone else's bad judgment. During those 2 years, I heard through the grapevine that Patricia had left Apex. Word was she'd taken a position at a competitor in Houston, starting from the bottom with no special treatment. People said she was actually learning the business this time, working her way up like everyone else. I'll admit, I was curious how that was working out for her. On the 2-year anniversary of my firing, I was in my new office, not at Apex, but in downtown Pierce Advisory headquarters when there was a knock on my door. Patricia Davis stood there, but she wasn't the same person who'd ripped my tie off that morning. The designer suit was gone, replaced by simple business attire. The arrogance had been replaced by something that looked like genuine humility. "Howard, do you have a minute?" "Sure." She sat down across from my desk where I still kept one item from that terrible morning. The tie she'd ripped off my neck, now framed and mounted on the wall behind me. "I wanted to apologize," she said. "Not just for that day, but for everything leading up to it. I was wrong about a lot of things." I studied her face. The change was real. 2 years of working without a safety net had taught her lessons that no MBA program ever could. "What are you doing now?" I asked. "Working at Morrison Defense Systems. Started as a junior analyst. No title, no special treatment. Learning the business properly this time. It's been humbling." She glanced at the framed tie. "Do you ever regret how it all played out?" I thought about that for a moment. "I regret that it happened the way it did. I don't regret where it led." She nodded, started to leave, then turned back. "For what it's worth, you were right about one thing." "What's that?" I hadn't been punched in the face by reality yet. Now I have. After she left, I sat in my office looking at that tie on the wall. Not as a trophy, but as a reminder that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the foundation for everything you build next. They thought a missing tie made me dispensable. They thought tearing my collar made me small. They thought calling security ended my story. Instead, it gave me a new chapter where nobody else gets to define my worth. The tie hangs there as a reminder that in business, just like in life, it's not what you wear that matters. It's what you do when someone tries to tell you it does. Sometimes the greatest gift your enemies give you isn't their respect. It's showing you exactly who you don't want to become. And the real victory isn't proving them wrong. It's building something so meaningful that their opinion stops mattering altogether.